This video will cover the 3 waves of feminism. Let's get started. Welcome to the world of pre-feminism. Basically, if you live in the Western world and you're a woman, then you are a victim to the cult of domesticity. All of your worth is derived from the patriarchy's favorite values for women: piety, purity, domesticity, and submissiveness. Many consider the feminist movement to begin in 1848 at the Seneca Falls Convention. This first wave is only about suffrage. Right? What's the point of this video? We know this already.
Wrong. This narrows early feminism too much, and it robs it of some of its most important aspects. First wave feminism is much more than just Susan B. Anthony and Elizabeth Cady Stanton. It was still a political movement, but with broader implications and goals than just women's suffrage. For example, first wave feminism had strong ties to the abolitionist movement. The abolitionist movement helped women develop public speaking skills and draw parallels to their own lack of rights. Not the best comparison, but it's the thought that counts.
So initially, the two movements worked closely together because of their shared interests. Sounds ideal, right? Unfortunately, there was a bit more to the story. In 1870, the 15th Amendment gave black men the right to vote. Feminist women had expected to be included in this and were quite upset when they weren't. Some split off, led by Anthony and Stanton, and formed their own, frankly racist, suffrage movement to focus only on white women's right to vote.
Feminist activists have demonstrations and pushed for suffrage until 1920. Yay, women can vote. Great victory. Okay, time for the first wave of feminism to pack up its bags, right? See you in the 1960s? Nope.
Here are some examples. The ERA, Equal Rights Amendment, was first introduced to Congress in 1923. Women were allowed to compete in the Olympics beginning in 1928. Some gains were still made even after the end of the first wave.
World War II was a beautiful moment. You know what I'm talking about. Strong women and Rosie the Riveter were everywhere, and while women, especially women of color, were still paid less, and often only had pink-collar jobs, there were new ways to evaluate women's worth that weren't solely based on housewife virtues. But like all good things, this died. Once all the men came back from the war, women were told that yes, they were needed for jobs earlier, but it would be so nice if now they would just quietly return to their houses, pretty please. The 1950s saw the rise of perfect housewives trapped behind white picket fences. Emphasis on white. Women of color were facing very different issues.
Racism and sexism soared after World War II. Over the next 2 decades, the second wave of feminism would attack discrimination based on gender, especially in the workplace. The second wave found its initial surge from the civil rights movement, the New Left, and anti-war activists. Through those movements, women learned about activism, which they then brought to the feminist movement.
The second wave developed the slogan, "The personal is political." Women gathered in consciousness-raising groups where they shared personal experiences and realized that their problems were not their fault but mattered on a broader scale. Betty Friedan's feminine mystique burst onto the scene, putting to words the white middle-class experience. Second wave accomplishments are usually pretty well known: the Equal Pay Act, the founding of the National Organization of Women, or NOW, Title IX, and the historic Roe v. Wade case on abortion.
In spite of some successes, the second wave encountered real problems due to divisions within itself along lines of race, class, sexuality, and even between minority groups. These divisions fractured the movement, which disillusioned many feminists and society as a whole. That being said, there were many moments of great unity. Most of them just get removed from history's understanding.
So that's it. We're done. Oh, never mind. Patriarchy, like hell, is not easily conquered.
So then the 80s happened. Big hair, Prince, and now feminism is dead, again. Not really, though. Sure, people stopped marching in the streets as frequently, but the emergence of a focus on intersectionality was definitely beginning. People were talking, it was just fewer people were listening. So it evolved into third wave, which is happening right now.
Third wave feminists saw the gaps of second, especially the lack of intersectionality. As a reaction, they built their own wave, usually said to have begun in the 1990s. They benefited a lot from the results of second wave feminism, but still had many complaints about both the still very not dead patriarchy and how feminism wasn't inclusive in the past. The focus of feminism shifted toward liberation and freedom rather than equality. This meant having the ability to choose, and subsequently not choose. The intersections of race, class, sexuality, and gender are all a huge part.
Rather than emphasizing the collective, third wave feminism also looks at all women as individuals that can unify based not on ignoring difference but by embracing it. As it is currently happening, it's hard to talk about long-term effects or lasting changes, but it seems that the shift towards making the focus of feminism inclusion is incredibly powerful.
Whew, okay, so now what? Why does this matter? It matters because in order to understand our present and take steps towards a better future, it is fundamental to understand our history. Feminism is and can be many things: a political theory, a personal commitment, a lens through which to see the world. It has immense potential and so much work has been done to live up to it. History, including both the achievements and faults of our predecessors, should inspire us to move forward and develop a practice of feminism which would be intersectional, inclusive, and progressive.
So, what would a feminist world look like? There are a million details to list. Women are in control of their own bodies. All women, including women of color, get paid the same amount for the same work. A place where people are not allowed only certain emotions based on gender, and so much more. Yet there are broader goals, too. One major aspect is that the goal of life cannot be power. As long as that is true, people will always be willing to put other people down to get it. We need to learn to empower each other instead. We need to respect everyone as unique individuals instead of forcing them into identity boxes. Will we create a feminist world overnight? Probably not. Is it going to happen? I don't know, but we have to try. That trying is feminism.